The meat industry generates over $1 trillion annually, and much of that profit comes from targeting vulnerable populations who trust conventional wisdom about nutrition. Seniors represent a particularly lucrative demographic because aging bodies respond differently to dietary choices, often in ways that remain invisible until serious damage has already occurred. The marketing messages promise lean protein and healthy alternatives, yet behind the glossy packaging lies a troubling reality of inflammatory compounds, hidden sodium, and muscle-destroying additives that accelerate the very decline they claim to prevent. When you walk through any grocery store, the deli counter appears to offer sensible choices for older adults seeking easily digestible proteins. Those neatly arranged turkey slices seem like the perfect solution for someone watching their cholesterol or managing their weight. The packaging emphasizes words like lean, natural, and heart-healthy, creating an illusion of nutritional wisdom. Yet these processed meats undergo extensive manipulation that transforms what might have been wholesome protein into something far more sinister. Consider what happens during the processing of deli turkey. The meat begins its journey through industrial machinery where it gets injected with salt water to increase weight and shelf life. Chemical preservatives like sodium nitrite get added to maintain that appealing pink color and prevent bacterial growth. Phosphates enter the mix to enhance texture and moisture retention. By the time that turkey reaches your sandwich, it contains over 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving, along with compounds that your kidneys struggle to process efficiently after age 60. The human body changes profoundly as we age, particularly in how it handles excess sodium and chemical additives. Young kidneys filter these substances relatively easily, but after 6 decades of life, that filtration system operates at reduced capacity. Those phosphates that food manufacturers add to preserve texture actually interfere with calcium metabolism, pulling this vital mineral from bones that already face increased fracture risk. The sodium creates fluid retention that manifests as swollen ankles, elevated blood pressure, and increased strain on an aging cardiovascular system. Many seniors switch to turkey sandwiches believing they are making a responsible dietary choice. They carefully avoid red meat, choose whole grain bread, and add vegetables to their meals. Yet despite these seemingly positive changes, they notice increasing fatigue, persistent swelling in their extremities, and blood pressure readings that concern their doctors. The culprit often hides in plain sight, disguised as the healthy protein they consume daily. Research from major medical institutions reveals disturbing connections between processed meat consumption and heart failure risk in older populations. Adults over 60 who regularly consume these products show significantly higher rates of cardiovascular complications compared to those who avoid them. The mechanisms involve more than simple sodium overload. Those nitrites that preserve color and prevent spoilage convert to nitrosamines in the body, compounds linked to cellular damage and increased cancer risk. The modern chicken breast presents another layer of deception in the protein landscape. For decades, health professionals have promoted chicken as the gold standard of lean protein, and millions of seniors have restructured their diets accordingly. They grill chicken breasts 5 nights a week, convinced they are following medical advice perfectly. What they do not realize is that today's factory-raised chicken bears little resemblance to the poultry our grandparents consumed. Industrial chicken production operates on timelines that defy nature. Birds that once took months to reach market weight now grow to full size in mere weeks through selective breeding and growth-promoting feeds. These unnaturally rapid growth rates create meat with altered nutritional profiles and higher inflammatory potential. The chickens live in crowded conditions that necessitate routine antibiotic use, and those antibiotics leave residues in the meat that disrupt the delicate bacterial balance in aging digestive systems. When seniors consume factory-raised chicken regularly, they unknowingly introduce a cascade of metabolic disruptions. The antibiotic residues alter gut bacteria populations, affecting everything from nutrient absorption to immune function. Studies examining long-term consumption patterns reveal concerning links to insulin resistance, a condition that accelerates muscle loss and cognitive decline in older adults. The very protein meant to preserve strength and vitality instead contributes to the deterioration it was supposed to prevent. The preparation methods commonly used for chicken often compound these problems. Many people cook their chicken in inflammatory vegetable oils or coat it with sugary sauces that spike blood glucose. They believe that removing the skin and choosing breast meat makes their meal healthy, yet the fundamental issues lie within the meat itself. The combination of growth hormones, antibiotic residues, and inflammatory compounds creates a perfect storm of metabolic stress. One gentleman in his late 60s made the switch from red meat to chicken breast after his doctor expressed concerns about his cholesterol levels. He grilled chicken 5 times weekly, seasoned simply with herbs, and felt confident in his dietary choices. Within months, however, he noticed increasing joint pain, disrupted sleep patterns, and blood sugar readings creeping toward diabetic ranges despite avoiding obvious sugar sources. His experience mirrors that of countless seniors who follow conventional dietary wisdom only to find their health declining rather than improving. The inflammatory response triggered by regular consumption of factory-raised chicken extends far beyond simple digestive discomfort. Chronic low-grade inflammation accelerates nearly every aspect of aging, from arterial stiffness to cognitive decline. The immune system, already less robust in older adults, diverts resources to manage this constant inflammatory burden rather than protecting against infections and maintaining healthy tissue. Laboratory analysis of supermarket chicken reveals troubling contamination rates with antibiotic-resistant bacteria. These pathogens pose particular risks to seniors whose immune systems cannot mount the same defensive responses as younger individuals. Even properly cooked chicken can harbor chemical residues that accumulate in body tissues over time, creating toxic burdens that aging organs struggle to eliminate. The marketing of processed turkey products specifically targets health-conscious seniors through clever positioning and selective information. Labels emphasize protein content while minimizing disclosure of sodium levels and chemical additives. Terms like natural flavoring mask the presence of manufactured compounds designed to enhance taste and extend shelf life. The industry understands that older consumers often rely on front-of-package claims rather than scrutinizing ingredient lists printed in tiny fonts. Dark meat turkey, particularly the thigh portions, carries additional concerns beyond basic processing issues. Commercial preparations often involve curing, smoking, or pre-seasoning processes that dramatically increase sodium content and introduce potentially harmful compounds. These preparation methods, marketed as convenient time savers for seniors who may struggle with extensive meal preparation, actually concentrate inflammatory substances and create advanced glycation end products that accelerate cellular aging. The phosphate additives common in processed turkey products deserve special attention for their impact on aging bodies. These compounds interfere with hormonal signaling, particularly affecting parathyroid function and calcium regulation. For seniors already managing bone density concerns, this disruption can accelerate osteoporosis progression and increase fracture risk. The kidneys, tasked with filtering these excess phosphates, face increased stress that can hasten the decline in renal function common with aging. Blood pressure management becomes increasingly challenging when processed meats form a regular part of the diet. The sodium load from even moderate consumption can overwhelm the body's regulatory mechanisms, leading to sustained hypertension that damages blood vessels throughout the body. This vascular damage affects not just the heart but also the brain, kidneys, and extremities, contributing to the multi-system decline that characterizes unhealthy aging. The nutritional landscape becomes even more complex when examining organ meats, particularly liver, which occupies a paradoxical position in senior nutrition. For generations, medical professionals recommended liver as a nutrient powerhouse, and indeed, it contains remarkable concentrations of vitamins and minerals. However, what makes liver potentially beneficial also renders it dangerous when consumed regularly by older adults whose metabolic processes have fundamentally changed. The human liver functions as the body's primary detoxification organ, and this role intensifies the risks associated with consuming liver from commercially raised animals. These animals often receive medications, growth promoters, and feeds containing various chemicals that concentrate in their liver tissue. When seniors consume this organ meat, they ingest not just nutrients but also concentrated toxins that their own aging livers struggle to process and eliminate. Vitamin A presents a particular concern in liver consumption among older adults. While essential for vision, immune function, and cellular health, vitamin A is fat-soluble, meaning excess amounts accumulate in body tissues rather than being excreted through urine like water-soluble vitamins. A single serving of beef liver can provide 7 times the daily recommended amount of vitamin A, and regular consumption quickly leads to toxic accumulation. The symptoms of vitamin A toxicity often mimic normal aging, making diagnosis challenging. Blurred vision, dry skin, joint pain, and fatigue might seem like inevitable consequences of growing older, yet they could signal dangerous vitamin accumulation. Seniors who consume liver weekly, believing they are combating nutritional deficiencies, may actually accelerate the very symptoms they hope to prevent. The bones become more brittle despite adequate calcium intake, as excess vitamin A interferes with bone remodeling processes. Iron presents another double-edged sword in liver consumption. While many seniors do struggle with anemia, the heme iron in liver absorbs so efficiently that it can quickly tip the balance toward iron overload. Unlike plant-based iron, which the body can regulate through absorption control, heme iron bypasses these protective mechanisms. Excess iron acts as an oxidizing agent, generating free radicals that damage blood vessels, accelerate atherosclerosis, and increase stroke risk. The relationship between iron accumulation and cardiovascular disease becomes particularly pronounced after age 60. The body lacks efficient mechanisms for eliminating excess iron, and postmenopausal women lose the protective effect of monthly iron loss through menstruation. Men, who never had this natural iron regulation, face even greater risks. Studies examining seniors with high heme iron intake reveal significantly elevated markers of vascular inflammation and increased incidence of cardiovascular events. One elderly woman discovered these dangers firsthand after following her grandmother's advice to eat chicken liver weekly for energy and vitality. Initially, she felt more energetic, attributing this to the B vitamins and iron in the liver. However, over several months, she developed persistent nosebleeds, increasingly severe headaches, and vision problems that her optometrist could not explain. Blood tests eventually revealed dangerously elevated vitamin A levels that had accumulated to toxic concentrations. The metabolic changes that accompany aging fundamentally alter how the body processes concentrated nutrients. The liver's detoxification capacity declines, kidney function diminishes, and cellular repair mechanisms slow. These changes mean that dietary choices that might benefit younger adults can harm seniors. The concept of nutritional hormesis, where small amounts help but larger amounts harm, becomes critically important when considering organ meat consumption. Understanding bioaccumulation helps explain why organ meats pose unique risks to aging populations. Throughout an animal's life, fat-soluble compounds accumulate in their organs, particularly the liver. These include not just vitamins but also environmental toxins, pesticide residues, and heavy metals. When seniors consume organ meats regularly, they receive concentrated doses of these accumulated substances that their bodies cannot efficiently eliminate. Transitioning from these problematic protein sources to genuinely beneficial alternatives requires understanding what makes certain meats superior for aging bodies. Grass-fed beef, when consumed in appropriate portions, provides a completely different nutritional profile than conventional grain-fed beef. The distinction goes far beyond marketing terminology and reflects fundamental differences in how these animals lived and what they consumed. Cattle that graze on pasture consume their natural diet of grasses and herbs, resulting in meat with higher concentrations of omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid. These compounds actively combat inflammation rather than promoting it, supporting cardiovascular health instead of compromising it. The protein structure in grass-fed beef also differs, being more easily digestible and less likely to trigger inflammatory responses in sensitive individuals. The concept of portion control becomes crucial when incorporating grass-fed beef into a senior-friendly diet. 3 to 4 ounces twice weekly provides sufficient high-quality protein and essential nutrients without overwhelming the digestive system or creating metabolic stress. This moderate approach allows the body to benefit from the complete amino acid profile and bioavailable minerals while avoiding the negative consequences of excessive red meat consumption. Conjugated linoleic acid, abundant in grass-fed beef, demonstrates remarkable properties for preserving muscle mass in aging populations. Research indicates that CLA helps partition nutrients toward muscle tissue rather than fat storage, a critical consideration for seniors fighting sarcopenia. This naturally occurring fatty acid also supports immune function and may help regulate blood sugar, addressing multiple concerns common in older adults. The preparation method dramatically influences whether meat becomes medicine or poison for aging bodies. Slow cooking at lower temperatures preserves nutrients while breaking down proteins into more digestible forms. Adding herbs like rosemary, thyme, and turmeric not only enhances flavor but provides additional anti-inflammatory compounds that complement the meat's nutritional profile. Conversely, high-temperature grilling or frying creates harmful compounds like heterocyclic amines and advanced glycation end products that accelerate aging processes. Lamb from grass-fed sources offers another excellent option for seniors seeking quality protein without inflammatory consequences. The meat naturally contains high levels of carnosine, a compound that protects against glycation damage and supports muscle function. Lamb also provides significant amounts of zinc, crucial for immune function and wound healing, processes that often slow with age. The selenium content in grass-fed lamb deserves special attention for its role in supporting thyroid function and antioxidant defenses. Many seniors experience declining thyroid function that contributes to fatigue, weight gain, and cognitive fog. The bioavailable selenium in lamb supports optimal thyroid hormone production and conversion, potentially alleviating these common complaints. One remarkable aspect of grass-fed lamb involves its vitamin B12 content and bioavailability. This essential vitamin, critical for nerve function and red blood cell production, becomes increasingly difficult to absorb as stomach acid production declines with age. The form of B12 in lamb appears particularly well absorbed, even in individuals with compromised digestive function, making it valuable for preventing the neurological decline associated with B12 deficiency. The cultural stigma surrounding lamb consumption in some regions means many seniors have never considered it as a protein option. Yet properly prepared lamb, trimmed of excess fat and slow-cooked with vegetables and herbs, provides exceptional nutrition with minimal inflammatory potential. The key lies in selecting grass-fed sources and avoiding heavily processed lamb products that negate the natural benefits. Mineral density in grass-fed meats extends beyond iron and zinc to include crucial trace elements often lacking in modern diets. Copper, manganese, and selenium work synergistically to support antioxidant systems that protect against cellular damage. These trace minerals become increasingly important as the body's natural antioxidant production declines with age, making dietary sources essential for maintaining cellular health. The amino acid profile of grass-fed meats provides specific benefits for aging muscles and connective tissues. Glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, abundant in properly raised meats, support collagen synthesis and joint health. These amino acids become conditionally essential in older adults, meaning the body cannot produce sufficient amounts to meet increased demands from tissue repair and maintenance. Quality sourcing makes the difference between meat that heals and meat that harms. Local farmers who raise animals on pasture, without antibiotics or growth hormones, provide products fundamentally different from industrial operations. The investment in quality protein sources pays dividends through improved energy, better muscle maintenance, and reduced inflammatory burden on aging bodies. Wild game meats represent an untapped resource for senior nutrition, offering protein sources that evolved alongside human physiology over millennia. Unlike domesticated animals bred for rapid growth and maximum yield, wild game maintains the nutritional profile our ancestors thrived upon. These meats provide dense nutrition without the industrial contamination that plagues commercial protein sources, making them particularly valuable for older adults whose bodies require pure, bioavailable nutrients. Venison stands out among wild proteins for its exceptional leanness combined with muscle-supporting compounds rarely found in conventional meats. The deer that provide this meat feed on natural vegetation, moving freely through their environment and developing muscle tissue rich in creatine and carnosine. These compounds directly support cellular energy production and protect against glycation damage, two critical factors in maintaining strength and mobility after 60. The bioavailability of nutrients in venison exceeds that of most commercial meats due to the animal's natural diet and lifestyle. Wild deer consume diverse plant materials that concentrate phytonutrients in their tissues, creating meat with inherent anti-inflammatory properties. The iron in venison absorbs more efficiently than iron from beef, providing oxygen-carrying capacity crucial for maintaining energy levels without the risk of overload associated with organ meats. One retired park ranger discovered the transformative power of venison almost by accident. After hip surgery left him weakened and dependent on mobility aids, he remembered the deer meat stored in his freezer from past hunting seasons. Incorporating venison stew into his diet twice weekly, he noticed improvements in leg strength and stability that his physical therapy alone had not achieved. His recovery accelerated beyond medical expectations, demonstrating the profound impact of optimal protein sources on healing and regeneration. The creatine naturally present in wild game meats deserves particular attention for its role in muscle function and cognitive health. While younger bodies produce adequate creatine internally, this production declines with age, making dietary sources increasingly important. The creatine in venison and other wild meats exists in its most bioactive form, immediately available for muscle cells to use in energy production and strength maintenance. Carnosine, another compound abundant in wild game, acts as a powerful buffer against acid buildup in muscles during activity. This buffering capacity becomes crucial for seniors who experience rapid fatigue during simple activities like climbing stairs or carrying groceries. Regular consumption of carnosine-rich meats can extend endurance and reduce the burning sensation that often limits physical activity in older adults. The preparation of wild game requires different approaches than conventional meat to maximize both palatability and nutritional value. Slow cooking methods that incorporate moisture through broths or marinades break down the lean protein into easily digestible forms while preserving heat-sensitive nutrients. Adding acidic components like tomatoes or wine not only tenderizes the meat but also enhances mineral absorption, particularly important for seniors with reduced stomach acid production. Bison emerges as perhaps the most remarkable protein source for aging bodies, combining the benefits of red meat with a nutritional profile that addresses virtually every concern facing seniors. This majestic animal cannot be factory farmed due to its wild nature, ensuring that all bison meat comes from animals raised on open pasture without the industrial interventions that compromise conventional beef. The protein-to-fat ratio in bison surpasses all common meat sources, providing maximum muscle-building potential with minimal caloric burden. For seniors managing weight while trying to maintain muscle mass, this ratio becomes critically important. Each serving delivers concentrated amino acids that directly support muscle protein synthesis while avoiding the saturated fat load that stresses cardiovascular systems. The omega-3 fatty acid content in grass-fed bison rivals that of wild-caught fish, offering anti-inflammatory benefits typically associated with seafood. These essential fatty acids support brain health, reduce joint inflammation, and improve cardiovascular markers, addressing multiple age-related concerns simultaneously. The specific ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids in bison appears optimal for reducing systemic inflammation that accelerates aging processes. Conjugated linoleic acid naturally occurring in bison demonstrates remarkable effects on body composition in older adults. Research indicates that CLA helps preserve lean muscle mass while reducing visceral fat accumulation, the dangerous abdominal fat linked to metabolic dysfunction. This recomposition effect becomes particularly valuable for seniors whose changing hormones tend to promote fat storage and muscle loss. The mineral profile of bison reads like a targeted supplement for senior health concerns. Zinc supports immune function and wound healing, selenium provides antioxidant protection, and iron maintains energy without excess accumulation. The B vitamin complex, particularly B12, exists in forms readily absorbed even by compromised digestive systems, addressing the widespread deficiency common in older populations. One 73-year-old woman experienced dramatic improvements after incorporating bison into her diet following years of declining energy and muscle weakness. Despite trying various protein powders and supplements, she continued losing strength until her granddaughter introduced her to bison burgers from a local ranch. Within weeks of eating bison twice weekly, she noticed firmer muscles, improved energy, and even stronger hair and nails, benefits that blood work confirmed through improved nutritional markers. The anti-inflammatory properties of bison extend beyond its fatty acid profile to include specific peptides formed during digestion. These bioactive peptides demonstrate blood pressure-lowering effects, improved insulin sensitivity, and enhanced immune function in research settings. For seniors managing multiple chronic conditions, these systemic benefits make bison a therapeutic food rather than merely a protein source. Implementing these dietary changes requires practical strategies that acknowledge the realities of senior life. Starting with small portions allows the digestive system to adapt while monitoring individual responses. Purchasing from reputable sources ensures quality, though the initial investment may seem substantial compared to conventional meats. However, the reduced need for supplements and potential decrease in medical interventions often offset the higher food costs. Batch cooking becomes essential for making wild game and grass-fed meats practical for senior diets. Preparing large quantities of stew or ground meat portions that freeze well provides convenient options for days when cooking feels overwhelming. Slow cookers and pressure cookers transform tough cuts into tender, digestible meals while preserving nutrients and requiring minimal active preparation time. The social aspects of dietary change deserve consideration, particularly for seniors who may eat alone or have limited cooking motivation. Sharing meals prepared with quality meats, joining cooking groups, or exchanging recipes with others making similar dietary improvements creates community around healthy eating. This social connection enhances both adherence to dietary changes and overall well-being. Gradual transition rather than dramatic overhaul increases the likelihood of sustainable change. Beginning with 1 or 2 meals weekly featuring grass-fed or wild meats allows taste preferences to adapt while the body adjusts to different nutrient profiles. As energy improves and symptoms decrease, motivation naturally increases to expand these choices. The impact of optimal protein choices extends far beyond nutrition to influence independence and quality of life. Maintaining muscle mass through quality protein consumption directly correlates with the ability to perform daily activities independently. The difference between requiring assistance and maintaining autonomy often comes down to having sufficient strength for basic tasks like rising from chairs, carrying groceries, or maintaining balance. Cognitive benefits from reduced inflammation and improved nutrient status affect decision-making capacity and mental clarity. Seniors consuming anti-inflammatory proteins report better focus, improved mood, and enhanced memory function. These cognitive improvements contribute to maintaining independence and engaging fully in life rather than merely surviving. The cascade of benefits from optimal protein choices influences multiple body systems simultaneously. Better muscle function improves balance and reduces fall risk. Reduced inflammation alleviates joint pain and increases mobility. Improved nutrient status enhances immune function and accelerates healing. These interconnected improvements create an upward spiral of health rather than the downward trajectory often considered inevitable with aging. Financial considerations, while initially daunting, reveal themselves as investments in health span rather than mere food expenses. The cost of quality protein pales compared to medical interventions, assisted living, or loss of independence. Seniors who prioritize protein quality often find they need fewer medications, require less medical care, and maintain independence longer than those consuming conventional processed meats. The empowerment that comes from understanding how food choices directly impact health outcomes cannot be overstated. Seniors who recognize the connection between their protein sources and their daily experience of vitality or decline gain agency over their aging process. This knowledge transforms them from passive recipients of age-related decline to active participants in their health journey. The misconceptions surrounding meat consumption in senior nutrition have created unnecessary suffering and accelerated decline for millions. The blanket advice to avoid red meat or choose processed alternatives has ignored the crucial distinctions between industrial and natural protein sources. Understanding these differences and making informed choices based on quality rather than category opens possibilities for improved health that many thought impossible. Moving forward requires courage to challenge conventional wisdom and experiment with dietary changes that may contradict decades of belief. Yet the evidence from both research and lived experience demonstrates that the right protein choices can reverse muscle loss, restore energy, and revitalize bodies that seemed destined for decline. The path to healthy aging runs through the kitchen, and the choices made there determine whether the later decades bring vitality or deterioration. The time for action is now, before additional muscle mass disappears and metabolic damage accumulates. Each meal presents an opportunity to provide the body with healing proteins or inflammatory burdens. The choice between processed turkey and grass-fed bison, between factory chicken and wild venison, represents more than a dietary decision. It determines whether aging brings gradual empowerment or progressive limitation, whether the future holds independence or institutionalization, whether life continues to offer joy and engagement or becomes a series of medical management strategies.